I think that you also refer to pantheism as because there isn't that or a very loose doctrine. There is, I guess, that individual ability to fill in some of the blanks. A lot of people refer to God then as the universe, or I believe that you were also kind of referencing a little earlier in the conversation, um, almost a worshiping of the earth of Gaia. Could you kind of touch into that as to why that seems to be so um, alluring for people these days to just to want to refer to God as being the universe?
Well, I think honestly, the reason why it's so alluring is because uh, Christianity is uncool. I
Hmm.
mean, I think that's, I think we can't underestimate the level of just rebellion for rebellion's sake that's going on here, where people just, it can't be our tradition. It has to be anything but what people have already figured out. It has to be new. We have to come up with it. Those people of the past were stupid and brainwashed and whatever else, and they can't have possibly got the majority of things right. So, they might have gotten some things right, but we need to really edit it and completely reformulate it from our superior understanding. So I really think that's the main thrust as to why are pantheism and so many other alternative doctrines attractive. Um, so the idea of Gaia we talked about, and I think it's an analog for understanding pantheism, where uh, just like people have I think it's the same hang up with that Aslan talks about, where like for some reason, like we're willing to recognize that life is miraculous and wonderful and sacred and all that sort of stuff, but the idea of this separate being floating off somewhere who created this is very I don't know, it's just a step too far. And I have some sympathy with that. There you can go wrong ways with that, and you can believe, all the heavenly sacredness is out there, and then here the world is terrible and whatnot. And I think the idea of um, a full incarnation and a recognizing of life here as valuable and meaningful is, of course, necessary and important. And there are people who fail to do that, even if their philosophy supposedly or religion supposedly supports that. So anyhow, I think that might be part of it, is just this idea of, you know, reject every notion of the big guy floating in the sky. And so then there's this idea, well, none of that, but somehow life is still sacred. And I think you see this in the modern um, environmentalist movement, where the earth is sacred, and then you know there are people who legitimately believe that the earth is a goddess, that the earth is Gaia, that the earth is our goddess mother, and that we are mistreating her, and she has a will, and we are just little epiphenomena that are sort of bugging her. And I think this works for multiple ways. If you just sort of take that view of the earth and expand it to the universe, this is the view of mainline or general pantheism, where the whole universe is God's body. He's every part of it. But there's not this fractal level where we're the image of God, where we have the full incarnation of God, and then maybe that exists at higher levels as well, all the way up to the infinite. So, but it's more of the idea of Gaia, where there's this sacred being out there, and we're kind of on the outs, and we screw things up and are stupid, and don't really have a good relationship. And she's just sort of putting up with us for a while, but is getting tired of it. And I think pantheism sort of lends itself to the same thing, where the universe is great, the universe is sacred, and we're kind of messing it up. And there's no real reason to believe that we have any sort of sway or particularly privileged position. We're just one of the many beings that are here. Um, and so I think as a reaction to Christianity, that becomes appealing. It's not, I don't think that appealing, honestly, in itself. But does seem to be sort of a human universal, sort of a natural inclination to fall into because it is similar to many aspects of animism and paganism that existed long throughout our history.